Hey guys, and welcome back. This is Count Lazuli, and it's E3 going on these couple days, and I want to talk about something super special, something 19 years long special, and I've got a guest with me, a member of the 8livesstudios, Phil. How you doing, Phil?
I am just swell-tacular. I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Let's not beat around the bush. Clearly, we're talking about Metroid Dread. Thoughts, theories, speculation, all that kind of stuff. Phil.
Uh,
Phil. Phil.
I know. I'm just,
Phil.
I honestly still cannot believe it.
Phil. Phil. Phil.
Lazuli?
It's Metroid Dread. It's
What did I say?
Metroid. It's Metroid fucking Dread. It's finally here, man. Like the amount of I forgot to get a screenshot of this, but there was a hint to it back in Metroid Prime 3 on the Pirate Homeworld.
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
So I think the first thing I want to bring up, it probably has to be Samus's crazy looking suit. I love that they carried over the fusion suit from the previous game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this does very much look like the fusion suit, just a lot more upgraded.
Yeah, and one of the first things I noticed, along with the new enemy type, is there's a very clean future sci-fi element to the aesthetic. Like, I don't know if you see it too, with a lot of the really clean white.
Yeah, definitely noticeable, I will say.
I don't remember if this was on the original fusion suit, but you can see kind of they almost look like sinew or flesh going over certain parts of the suit, especially in the leg area down there.
Well, given the idea of what the fusion suit was really made from, I could see why they would go with some kind of material like that
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
this design.
It is kind of interesting to think about the fact that the various suit is no longer the main suit at this point in the story. That shit's been destroyed.
Oh yeah.
When you look at the suit from the back here, I definitely get some Metroid Prime vibes to those thrusters. It also kind of reminds me a bit of Other M, but personally, not a big fan of Other M.
Who is?
I don't think many are. Now this is our first screenshot, or our first viewing of the actual in-game environment. And what do you think of it thus far?
So far, I'm pretty digging it. I think it's pretty good. I'm really wanting to know more about what the location of the place is, especially what brought Samus to go there in the first place.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, because the theory is with me is that originally, if anyone recalls Metroid Prime, not Metroid Prime, excuse me, I'm still thinking about 4 coming
Me
soon.
too. Me too.
If you guys anyone remembers from Metroid Fusion, she pretty much pissed off the Galactic Federation by destroying that space station. So,
Yeah.
in a way, now she's being, she's kind of the fugitive, and there's some kind of crazy mystery to why she was brought to that specific planet.
Yeah, for sure. Now, funny enough, when I first saw a bit of this game, my first thoughts were this looks a lot like Samus Returns, and there's obvious reasons to that. It's the same studio. I think it's was a Mercury Studio. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, if I remember right, the what are the developers on that were talking about it said that they originally were thinking about Dread, but because of how the technology was back then, they decided to scrap it for now. But their recent work with the studio who did Samus Returns, well, they decided to go back to it, and hey, there you go with this. Which I will say, I haven't gotten to play Samus Returns, but knowing my Metroid history, I think I know what it's about. But overall, yeah, it looks pretty good.
I think my favorite thing that they got with Samus Returns was the controls are just so natural. Um, the use of like the 360 gun rotation is just so seamless the way you move in that game, and it looks like they're improving that with this one. They're adding in. Okay, so I'm just gonna say this. I was really scared when I saw that they were bringing back the melee counter in fights. Uh,
Right, because that was a usual thing they did in Other M.
well, it's actually something they had in Samus Returns. So what would happen is
Oh,
they kind of pull a marauder on you where the enemy flashes and you have to strike it just as it flashes. But the
oh,
problem is they did this with just about every enemy in Samus Returns. So
oh, okay.
anytime you went up against fodder, you had to wait for them to strike and then counter them and then shoot them. And it was just that over and over again. So it really broke the flow and the experience in a lot of ways.
Okay.
But it looks like what they're doing here is they're adding sub-variants of that. And they're changing up what enemies it works on and which ones it doesn't.
Yeah, because it seems like with these new enemies that Samus is fighting in this game, the ones that are not very cooperative with her main weaponry, it seems like they're just the only way just to make sure to avoid an instant kill.
For sure. By the way, you were talking about environments just a couple of minutes ago, and here was my thought when I saw the trailer. At first, I thought it was going to take place aboard a space station, which I wasn't excited for. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but I don't really enjoy it when a Metroid game takes aboard the entire thing is aboard a space station, because I feel like that kind of restricts what you can do to an extent. But I was really happy to find out that no, it's actually a totally new planet here. It's I think it's called ZDR. So ZB's is gone. ZB's was in Metroid Prime. No, it was in Metroid 1, and it was in Super Metroid. By the end of Super Metroid, ZB's blew up. Then we had SR388 in Metroid 2, which was the home of the Metroids, and that also blew up in Metroid Fusion. So those
Yeah,
two
Samus has built a career on blowing up planets.
yeah, yeah. And
It's
now
just amazing that Talon 4, Ether, and some of the other worlds she's been on hasn't exactly exploded at this point.
no, well, Face blew up. That did.
Oh, who cares about Phase? That thing was just a giant parasite.
Which actually, it wouldn't surprise me if there were like more clones of Phase out there. I mean, how do we know we blew up Phase?
Metroid Prime 4 confirmed.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Yeah, and here was another. This is a screenshot from Sakamoto's here, and it shows Samus like unconscious on the ground, which like that got me curious. This could just be like post-fight or something, but it kind of made me wonder if like something placed her there. What do you think? Because and actually this was something I really liked in the Treehouse gameplay, the live gameplay. They revealed that they're kind of flipping the script on the way the world is going to work. So instead of you land on your ship and you go deeper and deeper into the world, it's the inverse, where you start at the center of the world and you have to make it up to your ship.
Hmm.
So that's
So it sounds like. Now, this is just an idea, but this sounds like she was captured and then brought to the place.
that's what I'm thinking. Like, was she teleported there? Did something take her? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Did the Federation finally capture her?
Maybe. I'm not
Because
sure.
yeah, because from what I've been thinking on it ever since Fusion, yeah, it just sounded like from the very beginning of Samus bringing them that Metroid, that was the ultimate bad idea. Like,
Yeah.
you get the history of, her working with them, going to their space stations and whatnot, helping them destroy Phase, bringing them the baby Metroid, etc., etc. But it just really seemed like, yeah, that was the ultimate bad move. Because if you really notice it, ever since that happened, that was when they started making some questionable decisions.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
But with this place, let's see. Because I think one of the people said that the robots that were in there were developed by the Federation.
Oh
So that's
yeah,
probably
the
so that's
Emmy.
probably the Emmys. That's right. So that's probably why overall they're ineffective against Samus's attacks because overall, well, they know all her moves. They
Yeah.
know everything that about her. I mean, at some point she just should have cut ties and just stopped working with him.
um, I've got a lot to say on these new enemies now that I think about it. I mean, first off, Emmy automatically made me think of the word enemy. Although I know that's just a coincidence. Emmy stands for something. I don't remember what it is. But here's the interesting thing, alright? So, these things, from what we know so far, they are designed by the Galactic Federation, alright? The Emmys are Federation robots. And they have been built for planetary research. That seems like a very docile thing for what is supposed to be, or what we're being told is going to be a really terrifying threat. One that we can't even hurt, and it can insta-kill us. And it got me thinking. And now here's the thing. I've been looking at the different buying options that there are so far. And wherever you go to check out the game or where you can purchase it, in the description for the game, it describes the Emmy as DNA harvesting. That is very specific, and it got me thinking. And check this out. This is from Sakamoto's discussion here. So when it does that insta-kill on you, its face turns into a huge syringe that it stabs you with. And I'm thinking, well, why would these things want to harvest Samus? But then you remember, at this point in the story, Samus is the only source of Metroid DNA left.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, she's technically part Metroid now. Actually, now she's part of three things, if you really think about it. Because, human, Metroid, and Chozo. So a combination of that would definitely be useful to the Federation.
For sure. But, I had some other thoughts around, whose motives are whose. But before that, again, it's been boggling me how, out of all the different enemies we've encountered, the one that we are told is a major threat is a research drone. But then I thought about it, it's like, well, hold on now, this thing, it splices DNA, well, it doesn't splice, it harvests DNA, which means that this thing probably deals with a lot of fauna. So it has to get up close and personal with a lot of big creatures in order to get DNA samples. So this thing has to be able to pin its target, or at least defend itself, in order to do its work. So this thing is pretty much designed to be invulnerable to us and any other creature it comes across. That's what I'm thinking. Because if it was just dealing with something like plant life, I'm sure it would just look like some, guilty spark-looking thing floating around, And Metroid, from what we know, is it's no stranger to the whole idea of DNA splicing for experimentation. I mean, just look at the space pirates. Practically live off it.
Yeah, especially with all they did to themselves. I mean,
yeah.
I think because if you really think about it, if we can go into like a topic of space pirates, the ones that had the most work done on them had to be really the space pirates that were in Metroid Prime 3 when they started infusing themselves with Phazon.
Yeah, not to mention, so you know how the scan logs, they have like a model gallery so you can look at the 3D images of them?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at a lot of like their drones, you can see like space pirate skulls implemented into them.
Oh yeah.
Like I think the Jolly Roger drone, which is a flying sentry, I think they have like pirate flesh in them or something like that. Which yeah.
just yeah. Metroid ain't that family friendly, folks.
No, not really. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting going across regions and having these sort of these like enemy pockets in different environments where you have to avoid the enemy. I'm hoping that we're going to have to actually do some things inside these enemy zones, and it's not just going to be traveling point A to B.
There was one thing I didn't mention. I did notice while watching the gameplay was that while avoiding the first enemy, the one that was all broken and looked like it was torn apart by something else, Samus did come across this kind of biocomputer thing and absorbed its energy, which turned her power beam into like the Omega beam for a while there.
Oh,
and then was able to kill it. So maybe there might be a point within some of these zones where she has to find more of those to actually take them out.
That could be. Yeah, you know what? Because they said it was a limited upgrade. So did that mean like you had to recharge it, or you had to go find more of those in order to kill these?
Right, because because and I guess it's only limited to making sure that they're taken out and not just like how many times you use it. Because she did use it on one of the doors in there, and then. But that didn't cause it to go away. But right when she used it on the Emmy, that's when it caused it. So I'm thinking to myself, it's only triggered if the Emmy is around and she's trying to take it out.
Yeah. There is one thing about Emmy zones that I'm on the fence about. I don't know whether I should be glad or sad about it. So the Emmy is an insta kill. Is an insta-kill robot. Unless you're really good at timing your counter, that thing will kill you.
Oh, yeah.
And when it does, you'll respawn outside of its zone. And I don't know how to feel about that, because on one hand, it seems reasonable for something that can insta-kill you. At the same time, I feel like it gets rid of a bit of the fear of death. And it kind of becomes like the equivalent of getting booted out of its room, basically. So I don't know. Do you think that's a good idea?
I feel like it can work. I mean, that is possibly why in some of the modules that it's in, it makes it to where you can easily escape, just so you can avoid that. Especially with that cloaking ability you get later on.
Yeah, I imagine. Go on.
Because what I'm seeing is that basically the player knows that these things are too strong. They're resistant to all the weaponry you have, And if you get captured, yeah, you have to perfectly time your counter. But I think it's all in order to try to find something in order to kill it. Which also leads to the question. We've only seen a few of them so far.
I think
So,
like 3
and
total.
yeah, and they're just like medium-sized robots. Now
Maybe a
the
bit
question
bigger.
is there going to be like some kind of big,
I was thinking the same thing.
large robotic conversion of it, or like,
I was
I
wondering if
mean,
uh, I was wondering if like the second last boss was gonna be like Emmy Prime or something.
right? It'd be
Meta
really,
Emmy.
oh god, like it would be really like they talk about how that one's hard to kill, like just the basic enemies. Then they're probably gonna have to really describe it if you're taking on like a large size robot, like like an Emmy Prime or something.
I I imagine they're probably gonna have like different variations of the Emmy robot as you progress through the game. Um, I'm just kind of wondering, like, I think it'd be really interesting if, so you know how traditionally with Metroid games, before the final encounter, you can basically like freely go across the map and start looking for additional upgrades and all that, right? That's the point in the map where you kind of master the skills and you're ready to beat the game. For
Exactly.
For Metroid Prime games, that's the like the key acquisition portion. I'm wondering what would happen if it's like the Emmy hologram doors like shut down and they were kind of released, but now you can kill them. You know, I was wondering what that'd be like. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that would be interesting. Like they just shut down completely once the Emmy's dead. Um, Speaking
Another.
of which, now that you're on this site right here, if we can just like go back on the world, it looks like so far this world is because I believe it's like just like one of the caves of the world or something.
Probably, yeah. Um,
But so far, from what I've seen of it, even with the animal life, it just looks like it's all ruined. Like obviously, someone was there way before Samus ever knew of the place. So
yeah, I mean,
it,
it
it
looks like the upper surface is like purple or violet.
definitely like a light violet-ish tone.
Yeah, so you're probably right. I think that like the dark cave system is probably a bit closer to the surface, but I'm definitely seeing like the beginning of some purple hues in there for sure. Uh, this reminds me a lot of the way they designed SR 388 in the last game we had. It too had this very like twisted, rocky environment, very similar to the first Alien movie, which, as we know, Metroid is inspired a lot by that series.
Pretty much. You
Uh,
know what? I don't know if it's just the tone of the room or I just can't see it properly. I could be wrong because it just looks like the suit is a different color in this one.
uh, it could be. I don't know. I do see a
Because
bit of purple, like a gravity suit, maybe.
right,
But that could be the room. You're right. That could very well just be like that
because
optical illusion where it messes with your color perception.
yeah, but you know what? If it is that, then it is pretty good because it's nice to show that they're changing up the shading and how the lighting affects like actual models within game.
Yeah, yeah. I got a few screenshots of different environments here because I wanted to find as much of the variety as I could. And one thing I wanted to point out is that there's kind of this ominous element to like the Chozo architecture now that wasn't there before in previous games. I just because we're gonna get to this soon enough, but I'm trying to see as if we had like evil Chozo or something. Uh,
Uh, honestly, honestly, that one, crossed my mind. I mean, or
because
it would cross my mind. I mean, because I mean, so far we've known only about Chozo, who've like set up ancient structures, colonized some worlds that they've been known to be on just because of their architecture, or like how it was on Talon 4, with most of the planet being their ruins, except that hey, let's just leave some ghosts around.
I think the Phazon did that. It infected. Because what happened on Talon was they abandoned their technology and they became like magic hippies basically. And when the Phazon meteor hit, uh, it turned a bunch of them mad, and when they died, their spirits remained. So I feel like that might have been an after
Oh
effect
yeah,
of their psionics.
yeah. That's honestly what I was thinking too, because uh I know there could be like a potential thing for paranormal stuff in Metroid, if it's something like ancient as the Chozo, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I think there's a logical explanation about how they got turned into that, especially since you see Phazon, like, in some of the plants on the planet.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like
Um,
that's one thing a lot of people who played Prime never really notice, is that you can even see that the blue glow and stuff that's in the plants, right, even at the landing zone. That's like Phazon right in there.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, Now, one thing I noticed about the environments here is like there's a ton of machinery, like a shit ton of tech and facilities. So, but then at the same time, it's like there's a bunch of Chozo. So I don't know if this was like a planet of both Galactic Federation and Chozo. I'm not sure. It's interesting thus far, and actually, now that we've kind of spanned across these images of the different environments, one thing I'm liking is that they're going back to like there's kind of this dull color palette going on here.
It's not like heavily saturated.
Exactly. That was my problem with the past three Metroid games. Other M, Federation Force. Yeah, I tried to do that. And then there was Samus Returns, and they all had a bit of this more colorful element to it.
Yeah, I think this was in the years of like, hey, let's just make games more colorful to, make them seem more attention grabbing, which it would be cool in some instances, but when you constantly do it, it does kind of get annoying. See,
Now,
that's why I liked the Prime series in particular, because they were a bit of mix and match if you really think about it.
yeah,
Let me point out one in particular, Prime 2. You're in the light world. It's not all heavily saturated. Some areas are just like, they got a bit of a washout effect to them. But when you go to the dark world, that's got some saturation to it, because it's trying to show off that, hey, uh, stuff here is not what it was in the regular world.
it felt like the Prime games were a bit more careful with their color palette. You know.
Well, when you leave it to Retro Studios, yeah,
Mm.
they're definitely careful.
Now,
Um,
now I will
now
say,
back.
sorry, go on.
Oh, now, yeah, because what were you saying about the structures here is that the thing I was thinking is that maybe the Chozo were here first, and they were exploring the planet until the time something must have happened to them, or they just up and left. Then the Federation came in and decided to set up shop everywhere. Like some mining zones, some research facilities, weapon testing, and maybe like I don't forgot the name of the robots. They were left there like a long time ago. Um, excuse me. they were left there like a long time ago as like a security defense for the place, even though they were like for research. But it seems something must have went wrong with them too, because I noticed in one of the screenshots there were spider webs all over the place. And if this facility was occupant, then where are all the people?
Yeah, yeah. Um, Now it's also possible that maybe a lot of this architecture really is just Chozo, and they got past their Egyptian phase. Possible too. Now I noticed during the treehouse gameplay, at some point they went into like a fire environment, and it definitely gave me the feel of like Magmore Caverns and Norfair. I'm hoping that they're not gonna do the like ice biome, fire biome, jungle biome. I hope they're gonna have more creative environments than that too. I do understand that this is below the surface of a planet, so you're gonna have like a fire region in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially if they're like close to the core of the planet, then definitely.
Yeah.
Or at least within the deep layers. See this shot right here. This is what I was talking about. With the webbings all around, it just seems like it's been left for a long time.
I didn't even notice the webbings. I thought that was like ice forming from the cold because of all the mist you see down there.
It could be right, but it's just how the way like it's like drawn on there and how it's curved. It just seems more like webbing than ice.
Yeah, you're definitely right. That's definitely like a slime webbing or something like that, because of how thick that looks. Unless it's just a really big spider. Now, this particular shot actually reminds me a bit of Other M, because even though Other M did have a lot of color to it, it did still have some doom and gloom in a lot of the areas because it was a ship. And this definitely gave it off. Federation Force was basically just bring your buddies and here's a fun game. And see,
let's kill Samus.
Yeah, oh god, I forgot about that. See, the funny thing is I never beat that game, and it's not for a lack of trying. It's because what they do is the first few missions you can play on your own just fine. They even have some competent boss battles that require thinking. But then, at some point, it's like they designed these levels solely for co-op. And I never beat them, because nobody's playing Federation Force.
I honestly never played it. I just looked at all the cutscenes.
Yeah, there's no point.
I just went on Little Gamers Playground and just saw the whole thing, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm good.
Another thing I couldn't stand about Federation Force was the whole premise of like the villains or the space pirates is that they got this like super growing technology.
I saw that they used it on Samus, and then they forced her to go Morphball.
Giant.
I'm like, what?
I don't think I need a giantess Samus. Maybe for some people, but not me.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If I want to fight Samus, I'll go with either Dark Samus, SAX, or playing as one of the other bounty hunters on Hunters and fighting against her.
Well, I mean, like at least like the Hunters Hunters, like they were cool, they had character.
Yeah, because they had character. They were competent. They knew what they were doing. They weren't like any kind of stupid enemy you would come across. Like, oh hey, this guy's shooting at me. He's using a regular blaster. I'm gonna just shoot at him with a barrage of missiles.
Yeah,
that could lock onto him. Like, they knew how to dodge. They knew how to counter. They knew how to like defend themselves. They had the same transformation power as Samus does with her suit.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was Samus Returns, which, again, good game. It had some flaws, and had a bit of that coloriness to it, too.
I will say, though, the redesign on the gravity suit looked amazing.
Yes, for sure. I want them to keep doing that. I want them to keep doing that where they have like genuinely new looks to the suits. I don't like in this game, Metroid Dread. I don't want to see.
Like a
Yeah,
just the same suit but in different colors. I get you.
yeah, fusion, but now it's purple. you know.
Yeah, I mean, uh, well, here's the thing when it came to fusion. Well, here's the thing. There's not really a lot you could say. It was like in the early days where I don't really think they could think of any like other suit design, or maybe they thought there was no need for a different design. Like the color would be like a representation of the material.
You know,
I would think.
you're probably right considering the fact that they were pixelated 2D games at the time, and Samus's
Yeah.
sprite was very simple.
I mean, yeah, you could probably just like say it back then for Metroid Prime 1, but here's what I thought of it. I mean, if you look closely at how the usual Varia suit was made, and then you see how it looks with the gravity and then with the Phazon suit, I mean, there was some slight change to it. Because
Yeah.
really, it was just mostly on the Eternal systems they focused on, not the outside look of it. I mean, but then when they got to Prime 2, that was when they started getting creative.
Those were the best suits, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Prime
I
2.
mean, because it's literally a game about going between light and dark, and you have two suits that are based on light and dark, and it's just like you can now bend it to your will. It's like you can manipulate it.
Yeah, yeah. I think I could have done maybe without the beam ammo, but it's not too bad of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't. It only. I mean, I got no ill will towards the beams in Prime 2, but I really hated that they had the Annihilator beam use both light and dark. Like, I get it.
Oh yeah.
It's supposed to be the fusion of the both, but at the same time, it's just like, God, man, I want to use this more often, but it's such a pain just to keep the ammo conserved, especially if you have to get through a door and then you have to do this stupid, I have no ammo, I better use a charged shot just so I can have one shot, just to open the door.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, to hell with those dark pirate commandos. those guys were hell. Almost as bad
Gotta
as
admit, though,
Spider
the
Guardian.
design was pretty awesome.
They were really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
But honestly, I think what and this is just my deal right here, the overall new design for this suit right here and Dread, I think they might have gotten something maybe from 3 when it came to the PED suit.
Really?
Yeah, because if you think about it, I mean, this is basically the fusion suit just upgraded. I mean, with the pauldrons and even the legs look a bit different, like at least around the calf and the actual feet. It's more like, it's just like, how they did it with the Varia suit in 3. They took off some old parts and just added PDD technology just so Samus could create, control the Phazon. While for this, I'm thinking maybe these could have been her own adjustments. Just maybe to better control the fusion suit, or maybe just to revert it to where it can have her old suit's effects, considering, well, the Varia suit got corrupted by the X parasites and is now a multiple clone of itself, but then that got destroyed. So this is all she has left, and I'm guessing maybe she probably added Chozo tech to it. So it's now like the Chozo fusion suit.
Now that you mention it, this new suit of hers does remind me a bit of the Hazard Shield from Prime 3. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That was the that's what I was thinking too. Because let's see, the pauldrons that they had it for her on the PED suit, they were just small with the little bumps on them. Kind of like how Doomguy's gauntlet looked, just not small. But when she got the Hazard Shield, that's what I was thinking of, because that looks kind of similar to the Hazard Shield pauldrons that were in 3.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that maybe over time, if they get new suits, maybe there'll be some change to it. Maybe the organic material on the suit, converts and grows differently.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they said there's going to be an in-story reason for why her suit looks the way it does now. So I'm curious
Oh,
to see
I,
what that
I
might
have
be.
already figured that out. I mean, I think a lot of people who've played Fusion know what kind of suit that is.
I'm not following.
Well, it's obvious that that's pretty much the Fusion suit.
Oh, well, no, I mean like why the fusion suit looks different now.
Well, yeah, but let's see. Obviously, there had to be some alterations to it. So I'm guessing maybe when she made her changes, it also altered the suit's appearance. Because you know how, like, whenever she gets like an upgrade, it's always changing the appearance of the old suit.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. Metroid Prime 1, she got the spider ball. It changed her. It didn't really do a whole lot to her main suit, but it changed the morph ball's appearance to give it like the outlines of it that showed more of the energy in there.
All right. Yeah.
That kind of like that. Or here's another thing. Metroid Prime 3, when at the beginning of the game, she got that little grapple lasso. It just changed her left arm, but then that was it. But still, it changed her suit, even though it was a small one. Or if you care to mention this one, the PED suit, every time she got corrupted, it kept altering the look of the suit more and more, showing that she was becoming more Phazon than Samus. So,
Which I'm pretty sure was probably a borrowed asset from the early design for the Phazon suit in Prime 1.
yeah, I mean, that's honestly what I was thinking too, because
I'm
I
glad they
remember that was going
repurposed
to
it.
be. Huh?
I'm glad they repurposed it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking, like, oh, we have this old design. Let's just change it up a bit, and then we'll just sneak it back in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind the black and red version of the Phazon suit in Prime 1, but at the same time, it's just like, you know what? I
Now,
like your old version better.
there is another thing that we saw in the content of this new game so far, and it kind of had me like that's a bit sus. This thing.
Well,
This sort of mini mother brain looking thing. It is literally a brain AI, and it's supposed to
yeah.
be a callback to Mother Brain, and I guess the
Yeah.
Aurora units as well.
Yeah, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if there was something like that made. I mean, because, like you've said, with Mother Brain and the Aurora units, yeah, organic computers
Don't
can,
seem to end well.
yeah, I mean, after all, Mother Brain, the Aurora unit that got kidnapped.
Yeah, 313, I think is what it was. I don't remember. I think
No,
it was
I think it was 313.
313. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess this does kind of make you think about the nature of Mother Brain. Like, was it common for Chozo to have like brain AI? Was that a thing that was just common in the Metroid universe?
Well, they're not completely like primitive. I mean, they've explored the stars, so they have technology. It wouldn't really surprise me that some of them have decided to like try and go that method.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because let's see. Because you mentioned that there was some Chozo that decided to become hippies.
yeah, on Talon.
So, yeah, on Talon 4. So it wouldn't really surprise me if there was like another group of Chozo that decided to like go extremely far into the technological field. Because it seems like if that's the case, then there would be three factions of Chozo. the hippie ones, the extremely technological ones that would decide to alter themselves, maybe to that extent, and then there's just the normal ones that Samus came across.
Yeah, I mean they definitely divide into like different subgroups, especially with the amount of like planetary travel they did.
Exactly, like they decided, hey, we're on a new planet, let's make our own culture, let's cultivate ourselves into something new.
Yeah, and it seems like we're exploring yet another one of these.
Yeah, there is a glimpse of a Chozo being shown in the trailer.
Oh, we'll get to that for sure.
Yeah, there is a glimpse of it, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there was like a backstory of there's some advanced technological Chozo that are on the planet, and they decided to go this route because yeah, I mean, it wouldn't really surprise me either if it decided to not end well. I mean, especially with given recent stuff with Mother Brain and Aurora Unit.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't mind something like this, though. Maybe, though, just keep it different than the usual, oh, the AI just went crazy or it got corrupted. No, it's just like maybe it started having its own theoretical reasons.
Yeah. So I changed up the music a little. Something a little more hoppy. Anyway,
It's funny. While we've been talking, I've been playing some of the music myself on my end.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, right now right now I've been listening to let's see, I can't remember the name of it. I've been listening to the Underwater Frigate.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Oh yeah.
Now, I believe I saw a shot, I think it was in Sakamoto's video, where there is some kind of boss fight with this brain thing, but I'm wondering if it's more like a trial or a challenge, the way that the Terizo statue was.
Look, as long as it's not like Vega, then we're good.
Yeah. Vega always looked like Mother Brain to me.
Yeah. For anyone seeing this and you want to know why I just said that, play Ancient Gods Part 1 and 2 to figure out why. But anyway, yeah, because Vega did seem like a Mother Brain in that sense. I mean, in 2016, his whole central processing unit was like a Mother Brain, if you think about it.
It really was. Visually too. I thought this was a really interesting looking room here. It's got this weird...
This shot I haven't seen yet.
It's like this weird bowl-looking statue. And then this really impressive vista in the background with these huge cables and the repeating a wall texture.
Not gonna lie, the walls with the wires coming out does remind me of a part from Mass Effect.
I actually haven't played Mass Effect, believe it or not. I probably should.
Okay, some people might know what I'm talking about, but in Mass Effect 2, you board onto this dead giant robot, and you got to go in there looking for a certain kind of navigational card so you can go through one of these travel relays to get to the main enemy's home world. So there's actually a part in there that kind of looks similar to the right side of this room right here, with all the different panels in there that's inside the Dead Reaper.
Now I'm wondering, is this Chozo? Because I imagine the Federation probably didn't make a giant alien bull statue, you know?
No, it's probably got to be Chozo. But you know what? That also leads to a bit of a theory. Like, what if it wasn't like the Chozo at all? What if it was like, well, of course it's Chozo architecture, but what if there could have been an alien race before the Chozo that got here.
Yeah, there could have been.
Because something like that, I guess I'd have to like get a really good look, but it definitely doesn't, describe out Chozo, it's like not. It doesn't seem like something they would make.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of you remember in the original 2D Metroid games when you beat a boss and like the golden statue would open.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Just a little.
Oh man.
I'm loving the new map stations that they've got. Like if you look carefully, you can see the different Chozo runes on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I'm glad they're bringing back that darker, moody feel to Metroid again. And we get a glimpse at a boss fight here.
The Bloody Lake.
Yeah, like this guy looks friggin' crazy.
Yeah, this is honestly a really good design on him. I think this is. Yeah, because that's right. This is the enemy you get the cloaking ability from.
Yeah, I think this guy's called Corpius or something.
Yeah, the scorpion tail on him looks really good to the actual body design. Honestly, if he didn't have the glowing eyes, I swear to God, I would have thought of a skull crawler from King Kong.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah.
I saw the battle for him, and I guess he's like one of the first bosses. But like it was just very cleverly done how they orchestrated his fight. Like it's kind of like the first phase, like, all right, learn his attack patterns and all that. And then the second phase is like, all right, let's see if you remember them. And also, I want to mention that Chozo statue in the center. I don't know, like, it just still has that ominous vibe to it.
Yeah, especially when you have the light shining on it.
And you got all these cables going to it, so I don't know, was it like a power source? Clearly these Chozo didn't have much of a problem with technology, unlike Talon.
Yeah, kind of what I'm thinking, because, let's see, it's clear that there's a lot of races that are into genetic splicing, and honestly, the Chozo are really no different. I mean, Samus is their key example of that, and the Metroids.
Yeah, for sure.
But now I'm kind of thinking it, because when you said earlier about the Chozo had some technology that could be on this planet, what if they, this could be like a facility of their own dedicated to like gene splicing, and then, something bad happened, and that's when the Federation showed up.
Which is ironic, considering that they apparently brought robots that could harvest DNA.
Exactly.
Now,
and especially since this area is pretty much like a boneyard. I mean, the bones sticking out of the background, the water's all red.
Yeah,
that's a little itchy there, aren't you, Nintendo?
Yeah, this is they definitely haven't left the Metroid Fusion vibe for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I've been wanting to discuss this guy this whole time, and we're finally getting to him.
This is this guy. Okay.
Why has no one been talking about the fact that we have our first living Chozo in the franchise right here?
Yeah, you're right. He's like it's like the only Chozo, like the only living Chozo we actually get to see for once. And
every time I look at like the comments for these Metroid Dread videos, people are like, "Oh, a Chozo. Oh, whatever. Okay, cool." Like, what? No, we just like went through their ruins in like several games, and we're meant to believe they vanished. Here's a live one, guys. Like, this is a big fucking deal. Unless it's a flashback, which I don't think it's gonna be a flashback. This just does not look like one.
Well, never know, honestly, but you could be right.
But there's a reason. Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna say it now. All right.
Alright.
This is me trying to figure out what they're doing with this story. I think that this guy is the main villain. That's what I think. And this next panel is the reason why. This is from Samus Returns. This is the Chozo memory fragments. This is after after the Chozo have they've created the Metroids and they've planted them all in SR388. And they get out of control and crazy. They meet up with these other Chozo on the surface, and these Chozo just gun them down. And if you look at the Chozo that's standing giving orders in the second panel, he's got an arm cannon on him. So he did all the shooting. And then if you look at this next piece right here, who's that on the left?
Yeah, he could be the main villain.
He's got an arm cannon, he's got that Egyptian bird kind of look to him. And I'm thinking that this is him here, because you can see if you look up at the head crest a bit, it has that similar appearance. Plus, you don't even see his left arm, so that could be... Alright, here's what I'm thinking, alright? This is what I'm thinking. Hear me out. I think that this guy wants the Metroid DNA back. Because he gunned down all these Chozo on SR388, so maybe he wanted the Metroids for himself. I'm not too sure. Then, we see this guy come back. Our new enemy is a bunch of robots, trying to take out our DNA. And the only DNA I can think of significance would be the Metroid DNA. So, we're the only source left. Samus is the only source of Metroid left in the galaxy. And I don't see any if this Chozo guy is controlling the Emmy robots, which I don't see it out of the realm of possibility, or maybe he's even working with the Federation. I don't know. I think that maybe he wants the Metroid creation back in Chozo hands. I don't think he'd want Chozo DNA out of Samus because he gunned down his own brethren. So I think maybe this guy's going to be the main bad guy. Not only that, but they said that this is supposed to be the end of the main saga, which is a big thing to say. And who would be more fitting than a Chozo warrior as a final boss?
Especially since he'd be the only one we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Now, the whole deal with him being the final boss and all that is, honestly, I'm not against that. The part that I would think is that, I wouldn't think he would be working with the Federation. Heck, he'd probably I'd say maybe he tried to cut a deal with them or something. Probably. And then at last minute, he tried to gun them down just for access to their systems. So maybe that would be why the the Federation parts of that facility are a little bit out. Or heck, maybe he could have been the reason Samus woke up there.
Maybe. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that maybe this. I get the sense that maybe this guy's been pulling strings for a while. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the space pirates on their homeworld in Metroid Prime 3 were working on something called Project Dread. Now, that was put in there as just a little Easter egg, or a joke. But it's possible that maybe they canonized it in some way. Maybe this guy's been... And by the way, we know that the Chozo, to some extent, did work with the space pirates before they were betrayed.
That is right.
So maybe this guy's got small discrete alliances in different places.
I'm probably thinking this guy was the warmonger of the Chozo people and ended up killing all the good guys, but maybe to this day he still worked with the space pirates and pulled the strings that orchestrated all that mess that it was caused on all the homeworlds and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, this guy's just giving me some, like, mastermind in the background vibes. That's what I'm feeling from this guy.
He is the Illuminati.
So did you have any other thoughts to discuss? Because I do want to go over some merch after this.
Okay, so it's just one more thing about this guy. If he does end up being the final boss, I'm really interested in seeing how he'll play. Because let's see, he's got the arm cannon. It's obvious that the suit he's wearing is, well, of course, it's obviously Chozo technology. I mean, the only variation we've been able to see of it is just Samus's version, you know, a human version of it. But to see the actual, like, you know, creators of it, you know, at least one in a boss fight against Samus, I think that would be really good for this. Like, yeah. I mean, to face against like the actual originators of the technology would be pretty decent, especially since, you know, it was this guy's people that ended up saving her.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be such a crazy way to end it off.
Yeah. On how Samus will go out though, that would be telling.
Yeah, for sure. Now, like, I'm sure when they say this is the end of the saga, they don't mean they're going to be done with Metroid. That'd be absurd.
Oh, of course not. It's gonna be like the end of at least the original series. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this being 5. They're gonna be done with the original saga of it.
Yeah, I think after that they're gonna do like more Prime games and more like side stories.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie here. I would like to see some side stories of those bounty hunters, because they obviously didn't die. So it's like,
I mean, we're getting a lot of Silex built up in the Prime section of the games.
Yeah, especially with the bonus ending of Prime 3. One character, though, I'm kind of curious about is the one bounty hunter that was a space pirate.
Weevil, yes.
Weevil, that was his name, because he interested me because it seemed like, you know, most of the space pirates, they're like loyal to their own, you know, division, their own army and whatever. But this guy was just like pure on rogue. He seemed like he'll take anybody on. He just does not care. Something about him, how he like came to be about, would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely wanted to learn more about Weevil, but it looks like they're going more the Silex direction. Yeah, I think ending off a series with like a duel with a Chozo would be a kick-ass way to close it up. And I can understand why they want to close the story here, because when you think about it, it was all the way back in Metroid 2 that you wipe out the bulk of the Metroids. Super Metroid, you got one Metroid, and then the Metroid presence in Fusion was some genetically rebuilt Metroids and Samus's DNA. But then all the extra Metroids got destroyed, and now it's just Samus's DNA. That's the only presence of Metroid in the game of Metroid at this point.
Pretty much. I mean,
unless you wanted to do like I don't know, Metroid Ultimate series where they make yet again another set of Metroid mutants, which I think at that point people would be like, all right, I get it.
Well, here's also another thing I've been thinking about. You think, though, on how they were able to revive Samus in Fusion... I can't even talk right now. You think on how they were able to revive Samus in Fusion, they would have an extra copy, the Federation, of at least the Metroid DNA.
Yeah. You know,
at least know how it's genetically built.
You know, I was thinking about that and the connection with the Emmys, and I don't. If the Emmys are going for the Metroid DNA in Samus, like if they are, I have a bit of a hard time believing it would be the Federation because they gave their Metroid sample to Samus, unless that was like another division that did it.
Yeah, unless that's like they only had one and they couldn't make copies.
But yeah, so far out of all my theories, that's the one I'm going for so far, is that whoever's controlling the Emmys wants that Metroid DNA from Samus. That's what I'm thinking.
I'd have to go with that too. I mean, especially since we keep seeing this guy right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright, did you pre-order the game yet?
Not yet.
Alright, neither did I. Because I'm hell-bent on trying to get my hands on, well, that too. I've made it one of my life goals to have every Metroid amiibo. I must, and nothing will stop me. But, like fucking hell, I want this. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Alright, so here's something... Sorry, go on.
Oh, no. I was just looking over this, but you go ahead.
So, something I've learned when it comes to a lot of like special or deluxe or collector edition type pre-orders is that, you know, once the game's been announced and you can find the collector edition like to buy on Amazon or something, they say they're either unavailable or out of stock. The same thing happened with Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
And then I go to the store and it's like, hey, do you got it? And like, yep. So I called EB Games today, my local EB Games, like, hey, do you guys have pre-orders for, you know, Metroid Dread Special Edition? And they were like, actually, the pre-orders won't be available till tomorrow because we need the SKUs still. Meanwhile, if you go on Best Buy or EB Games or anything like that, it says they're out of stock. Yeah. But I really want this. Steelbook's cool, and the 5 cards for the main Metroid games are cool, but holy shit, do I want that art book.
Yeah, that would be my main reason right there.
Oh yeah. I fucking want that.
Could we check out that Amiibo slide real quick?
Yeah, let's go back that.
Okay, so I know we already covered the armor, but
yeah,
now that I get a closer look at it, it definitely does look like
hazard shield.
Yeah, the pauldrons could be like a hazard shield, but at the same time, this could be the fusion suit because of how, like, you know, you have the genetic material wrapped around the suit, but it does look like on the picture right here that there was some additions made, because the armor right there definitely could be like a modification of Samus. Like, she could have copied something from her old suit and just made it in like some new colors.
She could have. You know, I just think it's interesting how the aesthetic of Samus and these new enemies go along so well together in this like new clean future vibe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Alright.
At least it's not like, honestly, at least it's not like how they, you know, how it is with Dead Space, where, yeah, it's in the future, but everything looks so worn and torn.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, out of all the things that stay consistent with Metroid, the one thing they seem to be super stubborn with is never changing her arm cannon color. They never change it.
Yeah, always got to keep it the classic green.
Yeah, that classic.
You know, now that you mentioned it though, the design of it though looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is like a change they decided. Well, of course, you know, the fusion cannon was a pretty unique design aside from like the old school arm cannon, but this one definitely looks like something. It looks like a combination of I would say Other M and let's see, there was another Metroid where they had more detail onto the arm cannon. It wasn't in the Prime series. I know that, but
Uh,
I can't remember which one it was. But it's definitely a look at a combo of how Other M's was and another one. But
Samus Returns had some good detail on it.
ooh, you know what? That's probably what it was. I was thinking.
That might be it. All right. Looks like we're
There's
coming.
so many.
Up,
There's so many designs of the arm cannon. It's hard to keep track.
Oh, it is. It is. All right. Do you have any? Final thoughts?
Here's my my thoughts on how it is overall. So, especially with the style card. So, definitely this looks like it's heading into like a darker tone of the story, even though it's like the last part, which that I'm okay with. You know, sometimes they save everything, you know, a little bit lighthearted and make like the final part of it extremely like dark, depressing, you know, just like
The
that
death
kind
of
of
Samus.
right. I mean, that's like what a lot of people are speculating, like what's going to happen in Dread. But you know, honestly, I'm just going to say it. If Samus dies in Metroid Dread, like at the end, I really don't mind that.
I'm gonna fucking
That's like
cry.
that's like a conclusion for some characters that they do, and if they do it for Samus, then it's fine. I mean, because you know, her story finally got put to rest, and you know, of how she dies though, that's what I'll probably be questioning.
And then when she finally defeats the Chozo Overlord, he'll be like, "Have you nothing left to say to your creator before you strike him down?"
No.
And then Samus ends up in a coffin and put away by Chozo ghosts.
Yeah, for billions of years until Phazon comes back. But let's see. Overall, I'll be excited to see how the game begins. I'll be excited to see how the game ends. I'll be excited of how the story goes. What's up with the Chozo Warlord? How the Federation's gonna try to either take out Samus, capture her, because she's literally, after all that space station stuff on Fusion, she's most likely on a kill list now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so with that said, looking forward to it. Can't wait for it. I'm just glad it's only a few months away.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
not in
surprisingly close.
Too.
By the way, can I just say I love the low-key humor of Metroid Dread being released in October.
You notice that too. Yeah, let's have a dark title like Metroid Dread in Halloween month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Everyone else that sees it, say what you will, but Nintendo definitely won E3.
Oh, they won E3.
Halo Infinite was all right, but hey, Nintendo won.
I mean, this is a game, like, remember, the last chronological game for Metroid came out 19 years ago, man. 19 years. That is a hell of a long time. Yeah, we've had, from that point, we've had, all the Prime games, Other M, and then a couple, like, side games. Like, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, you can't knock this. Any other Metroid fan, like, okay, like if you started on Prime and then went to the older games, cool. But look, you gotta try this. You gotta get it if you're a hardcore Metroid fan.
Yeah, oh for sure. I'm really curious as to how this is gonna go down. I don't think we've, refresh me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've had a Metroid game before where robots were the main villains. This seems very new.
Yeah, well, given like how the premise of of what they do and who they were created by is honestly, I see it could be fitting. I mean, especially if the
Actually,
Federation Because I'm thinking maybe this happened sometime like after Fusion. They set up a facility there, and
Actually, it's even funnier when you consider that the word Metroid is, I believe, it's a portmanteau of Metro and Android. Coming full circle, are we?
all right. Um, but yeah, uh, I'm thinking maybe this was sometime after Fusion. They set up shop there, and hey, Samus got declared an enemy of the Federation, and we already know all of her moves. So download them into the robots in case she ever comes here.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, aside from that, I'll be happy to know how Samus' story ends. I won't feel bad or sad.
I
No,
feel
actually, I
nothing.
will. I will feel sad if Samus dies. But you know what? If it's at the conclusion and if it's done right, then I'll accept it. I'll accept her death more than I accepted Doom Guy's ceiling.
Oh, you have some feelings about that, do you?
Oh no, no. Well, here's the thing. I know it's like okay, we're ending this part of Doom so we can do new stuff. I get that. Like a passing of the torch or whatever. But at the same time, it's just like, dude, he still got you got to see it like this. He still got screwed over in the end.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely did, didn't he?
Like, yeah, he killed the devil, but he didn't stop the people who were really behind it. If you think about it,
I imagine the next Doom releasing, you just see his fist go through the coffin.
right? Or they just have
Demons.
like someone else because yeah, there was all that talk about maybe the next Doom Slayer might be female. People were open to that, and I feel like, look, guys, here's the thing: you want a real badass uh protagonist that's female?
Samus.
Yeah, do some research for Metroid and then do that.
See, I'm not really down with the female Slayer, particularly because I just don't think there's a reason to it. You know,
Yeah,
I guess for me it would be like having like Sam Aaron.
yeah.
I
I
don't really
mean,
want to play as Sam Aaron.
yeah. Like honestly, that's what I felt too. I feel like, look, if you're going for a different character, put in, and if you're still doing glory kills, then at least make them different. Make the characters' strength different. Don't give him blood punch. Like keep the blade or something. Yeah, but don't give him like the super crazy. Oh, I can blow up a demon with my fist kind of glory kill.
Yeah, that's something
Maybe
too.
something more tactical.
When
Maybe
you
something more tactical, like how some of those glory kills in Doom 2016 were, because that was like some martial arts kind of stuff that he could
Yeah.
do.
Well, that's
So
actually
something like that.
that's one thing to note too, is like if you have like Samus, like Master Chief, like Doom Guy, like when you have this like badass protagonist who's been the hero for multiple games and pretty much is the game at that point, you got to be careful about how you implement a new character for a new game, because if you make them
Yeah,
particularly strong, that's going to affect the way players see the original protagonist.
yeah, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Prototype, but a lot of people had an
Oh
issue with
God.
that. Yeah,
Uh, I'm sorry. I just got so salty when the protagonist became the villain of the next game.
yeah. I had like theories over why they decided like to put that because they never really explained why. But I had my own kind of theory, and a lot of people agreed. Um, Basically, my theory was over the years when the infection went on, Alex Mercer's subconscious finally died, and then Elizabeth Green decided to take over and become this new united like conscience. Since well, Mercer was just pure blacklight at this point. He had no body anymore. He had like dude, he got blown up by a nuke, and then he was just nothing but virus. He had to use a crow to get a full body back.
Yeah, I remember that. It's been a while
Yeah,
since I played that game.
Yeah, and I guess if it's like that, I don't know how that virus like fully works, but I guess if it's like that, then I can understand
I
it.
I just realized that this video has been Lazuli and Phil talking about video games, but also Metroid Dread.
Most of it's been Metroid Dread. We
Yeah.
swear to God.
It's not clickbait, guys. It's not clickbait. I swear.
Yeah. We literally just did the ending discussion and then we're talking about other games.
Yeah. I hate to be the what he said guy, but yeah, pretty much everything that you just said about you know Metroid Dread, and how you receive it. It's pretty much mirror on this end.
Yeah, I mean, uh, it's Metroid. I'm gonna love it regardless. I know. Well, it's a core Metroid game.
I think what I'm most curious about is how is it going to be received, not just in like the Metroid community, but in like the gaming community as a whole? Is it going to become this big game that everybody wants? Is it just going to, go down into the hole of forgotten video games until we have to wait like another decade for a Metroid game?
Yeah. You know what? I got a premonition right now. I feel like with how communities are today, a game like this will most likely be viewed by people who like Metroid or who like, classic 2D games like this.
I think now that you mention it, I do think that maybe this is going to be a game that a lot of non-Metroid fans are getting into. Like, even if you look at the comments on like the trailer videos, people are saying like, "Hey, I don't play Metroid, but this looks really cool."
Yeah,
And even
I mean,
Sakamoto said he wanted to bring in some non-Metroid players into the fray. So maybe this is like
exactly.
a breath of fresh air and kind of revitalize the Metroid community and fan base a little.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, because it's something I'll really be glad to see. Like people, they start seeing, a lot of older Metroid just because of this.
Yeah.
At least give it a chance because of this.
Actually, you know what? Now that you mention it, they have to make the original 2D games more accessible to people now. You got to make those more accessible so that people can play them and see where it started before they get to this game, or even after they play this game and go, "Oh, where did it begin?" And then they go and they play the original, the few original games. But
Exactly.
because like, so the only games that I haven't played in Metroid are Fusion, uh, Zero Mission, and Pinball. Pinball, I just haven't come across it.
Okay. I've played Pinball. It's kind of entertaining.
Well, I imagine it's
Um,
not exciting. It's pinball.
it's pretty okay. I mean, yeah, it's Pinball. It's pretty okay. I mean, they include some boss fights in there. Honestly, like you actually do fight the Metroid Prime in there.
So you slap the Metroid Prime with your balls, then?
Pretty much.
Sounds badass.
It
Don't know how
sounds amazingly.
I don't know how Samus does it, but all right then.
I mean, let's see. Fusion though, at first you'll get a little off put by like, some of the puzzles and stuff you got to do in there, like where to go. I mean, so the computer will let you know on where to go, but on the way to get there, that might become a little tricky. Plus, when you're hiding, when you see the SAX, it's like sometimes so early in the game, like, dude, you gotta hide. You cannot fight this thing. And there's even some of the segments where you have to run away from it. It's like it's terrifying, and that's what made the game how it is. Like, it's just amazingly good because it adds a fear factor.
Well, it
You
seems like they're
know that
bringing
there's
that
this,
back too.
yeah, because there's this enemy you can't beat because of how you are right now, what you are at your current power level, at your current state. of preparedness, and you just can't fight it because the thing is literally you. It's literally your suit, your upgrades, everything you got in that suit, controlled by a parasite, and it's just well, yeah. I mean, and I honestly thought when that to myself when I first played Metroid Fusion, I was thinking to myself, oh well, something like that couldn't possibly happen. Nope. The idiots decide, hey, let's just bring her suit to the facility where we're researching these things, and then when everything goes to hell, oh, that's when it wakes up.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so the reason I never got to Fusion is simply most of the 2D games I've played on my 3DS on like the Nintendo Store, and for some reason Fusion's just not on there. Now I had this cool idea that maybe like you find a bunch of unlockables throughout Metroid Dread, and they'll unlock you like a port of Fusion, like what they did with Doom Eternal. But they're probably not going to do that. I have a gut feeling that Nintendo's probably not going to do that.
Probably not, but at the same time, uh,
Maybe. You never know.
maybe you never know. I mean, the game is still like it hasn't been much hasn't been shown, but you never know.
Oh, and Zero Mission is the other game that they didn't have on the shop. Now, I haven't looked at it in the while, so maybe they added it on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I do remember a little bit of Zero Mission. It was kind of supposed to be like in a way, kind of like a little bit of a retelling. Since it was like one of her first missions. But basically, it's like a little bit of a backstory on how she got the Varia suit,
Hmm.
or at least the Varia function on the suit. Because in the beginning, you start off with the power suit, and then let's see, you end up crash landing on a planet that had that I think it was left by the Chozo. I don't know if it was I can't remember if it was Zeebs or something else. Like it was definitely a different planet, I think, but it had a whole bunch of like ancient Chozo architecture on there, and you ended up getting the Varia suit from there.
Hmm.
So I'd have to play it just to remember, but yeah, it was pretty fun too. Even the segments where you were playing as Samus in the Zero suit, mostly trying to avoid the enemies, but
Oh wait,
you
sorry.
shot a couple.
This is Zero Mission, right?
Yes, Zero
Yeah,
mission.
this is ZB's
Okay, okay, wait. Yeah, so it is Eves.
because it's a
Um,
retelling of the original game.
yeah. So yeah, it's definitely on Zeebs. It's where she got the Varia suit. Uh, Pretty much that's it.
Yeah, I'd say we covered what we wanted. We're coming up to an hour and a half here. So
Um,
yeah,
I
sorry.
will say though, for people who love first-person shooters, give Metroid Prime a try.
Yes.
Play it on a PC emulator if you have to. Um, it's definitely worth a try.
Yeah, it's that good. I know this because we've all been blue balled for the past 3 years waiting for Prime 4.
That is true. Yeah.
All right, looks like we're good to go, man.
Alrighty.
All right, this was Count Lazuli and Phil from 8livesstudios. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. You can go and check him out there. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next mission. Bye bye.